Hi guys, welcome to another story. Turn the light off, get your headphone and jump in bed because today's story is very scary. The haunted doll that moved on its own. Subscribe to our channel to listen to horror stories every night, and if you want to get better experience then please switch playlist. This video is on the playlist named True Horror Stories. Go check in.
It was a cold, rainy evening when Emma first saw the doll. She had been rummaging through her grandmother's attic, searching for old photo albums, when she stumbled upon a dusty wooden box tucked away in the corner. The box was unremarkable, but something about it made her pause. A faint chill ran down her spine as she lifted the lid. Inside was a porcelain doll, its face pale and delicate, with wide glassy eyes that seemed to follow her every move. Its lips were curled into a faint, almost mocking smile, and its tiny hands were folded neatly in its lap. The doll wore a faded blue dress, its lace edges frayed with age. Emma couldn't explain it, but the doll felt weird, she muttered, brushing off the dust. She decided to take it downstairs. Maybe it was worth something, or at least interesting enough to display on the shelf. That night, Emma placed the doll on the mantelpiece in the living room. Its glassy eyes stared out into the darkness, and for a moment, she felt uneasy. But she shook it off. "It's just a doll," she told herself before heading to bed. The first sign that something was wrong came at midnight. Emma was jolted awake by a faint clicking sound. She sat up, her heart pounding, and listened. The sound was coming from downstairs. She grabbed her phone, using its dim light to guide her as she crept down the stairs. The living room was dark, but the moonlight streaming through the window illuminated the mantelpiece. Emma froze. The doll was no longer there. Her eyes darted around the room, and her breath caught in her throat when she spotted it sitting on the couch, its head tilted slightly, as if watching her.
"What the?" Emma whispered, her voice trembling. She backed away, her mind racing. She must have been imagining things. Maybe she'd left the doll on the couch and forgotten, but deep down, she knew that wasn't true.
The next morning, she tried to convince herself it had been a dream. But when she walked into the living room, the doll was back on the mantelpiece, its expression as serene as ever. Emma's stomach churned. She grabbed the doll and shoved it into a drawer in the kitchen, slamming it shut. That night, the noises returned. This time, it was a soft scraping sound, like tiny feet dragging across the floor. Emma's blood ran cold. She pulled the covers over her head, too terrified to move. The sound grew louder, closer, until it stopped right outside her bedroom door. She held her breath, her heart hammering in her chest. The door creaked open, and she peeked out from under the covers. The doll stood in the doorway, its head tilted, its glassy eyes gleaming in the moonlight. Emma screamed, but no sound came out. The doll took a
Emma
step
scrambled
forward,
out of bed,
its tiny
her
feet
legs
clicking
shaking as
against
she
the
backed
wooden
away.
floor.
The doll's head turned slowly, following her movements. Its smile widened, revealing tiny, sharp teeth. Emma's mind screamed at her to run, but her body refused to move. Emma woke up gasping, drenched in sweat. She looked around her room, her heart still racing. The doll was gone. Relief washed over her. It had just been a nightmare. But as she turned to get out of bed, her hand brushed against something cold and smooth. She looked down. The doll was lying next to her, its glassy eyes staring up at her, its tiny hand gripping her wrist. Emma's scream echoed through the house, but no one came to help. The doll's grip tightened, and its smile widened as it whispered in a voice that was both childlike and ancient.
You'll never leave me.
If you have switched the playlist, the next story is right on the way. Don't forget to like to get more recommendations.